and welcome to Quirky Books with Katie. Today we are going to be talking about the book, The Immortal Rules by Julie Kagawa. This book is a dystopian set in many years in the future, I'm assuming, and it is about vampires. Now, do not let that throw you off. In this futuristic society, vampires are evil. They are evil creatures, but they are basically in charge. There's cities set up, and vampires kind of rule the cities. And humans are either registered or unregistered. The registered humans kind of are living blood bags for the vampires, but they live under their protection. And the unregistered tend to live in the outskirts of the city, and they have to hunt and basically survive all by their own and not get caught. So this book really surprised me because I bought it a couple weeks ago, and I was hesitant to read it because, you know, the whole vampire thing, but I thought that this was a really interesting take on vampires. Usually in books nowadays, vampires are seen as these majestic creatures that everyone loves, and I really like that in this book they're still seen as like the horrible bloodsuckers that they were a few centuries ago. So my favorite thing about this book is definitely the characters. Allison, the main character, is one of my favorite female protagonists. Definitely. I just really felt for her and everything that she had to go through. And the storyline follows Allison as she is an unregistered and something terrible happens and she has to decide whether she wants to become a vampire, what she fears most, or if she wants to die. And obvious what she chooses, but I think that she was written so well and you really feel for her struggles. I mean, she basically became what she hates most, and she has to live with that, and she has to live with the fact that all of her friends are dead except for her and that everyone is going to hate her. I just really liked her as a character. So I definitely would recommend this book. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm excited for the next one. It's out. Thank God. And it should be coming in the mail sometime soon. So if you guys haven't read it yet, go read it. And now we're going to talk about some spoilers. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is that ending. Oh my God. The ending. So I was reading this book, and don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it. But I didn't besides Allison, I really didn't think there was anyone that I had like an extreme emotional attachment to. And I still almost cried at the ending. What is this? So basically at the ending, they finally get to Eden, which is like, thank God, because even me as a reader, I was starting to doubt that Eden existed. I was like, what if it's just made up? I didn't really know what was going to happen. And then she can't get in, and she leaves, and then she has to go off on her own. Like, oh my goodness. Why? Why did she do that? She could have stayed. I mean, I guess I understand why she had to go, but I just need the eternity cure now. Because these emotionally damaging cliffhanger endings, I cannot handle these. I really can't. Thought I was going to get out of it with this book, but I didn't. Sorry, I need to get that rant out of the way. Okay, so the beginning of the book was probably my favorite part. It was just not what I was expecting at all, and it was just so dark, really, because in their society, everything's just like creepy, and then there's the rabbits running around, and I think it's a little too soon after Angel Fall for me to be reading about half cannibals again. I don't know why, but I feel like every book I've been reading lately has cannibals in it. It's weird. I thought that the rabbits were a really interesting plot element to the book because I hope you find out more about them in the second book because they were really interesting to read about. And I really liked the first part of the book because you see Alice. I really felt for Allison because she felt like everyone that she loves is going to either end up dead or end up disappointing her. And when she's alone and has the choice of becoming a vampire, she becomes a vampire. Now, I was kind of unsure she was going to become a vampire, but I'm like, oh, we're only 100 pages in. Of course she is. And I really liked her relationship with Cannon. I'm not sure how do you pronounce his name. I'm not sure how old he's supposed to be, though, because I'm guessing he's old because he had to deal with the whole virus, but I don't know. Because at first I thought they were going to be like romantically involved, but that didn't happen. Hopefully that doesn't happen in the second book. We do not need a love triangle in this series. We do not. And then Allison goes out on her own, and she meets up with Zeke and his family. I thought that that was one of the best aspects to this book. I adore books that have like a sort of family aspect because I feel like that's missing from a lot. And I really liked learning about all the different characters like Caleb and Zeke and Ruth and Jeb. And I thought it was really interesting to see Allison interact with all of them. And I just felt so bad for Allison the entire book because she finally finds a family that loves her. And then they find out she's a vampire and try to kill her, which I totally saw coming. What I did not see coming, though, is when they went to that factory place with Jackal. Like, that was so creepy. Especially when, like, people, they were, like, trying to maul members of the family. Like, with Darren, that part was so sad. I was pretty much in tears, and I just felt awful for Zeke. Now, Zeke is another person we have to talk about. I really liked him. He's not one of my favorite YA guys, but he's still a great character. I think him and Allison are really good together. We need to see more of them in book 2. But with that ending of this book, I don't know what's going to happen. And I really liked them together. I thought they were good. And then they finally get to Eden, and she has to leave. So that was awful. Another point that I wanted to make about this book, though, I don't know why, but this kind of reminded me of The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I'll explain, because the main character is alone, and Allison and Ruby both kind of have something about them that makes it so they believe that no one can love them. In Allison's case, it's because she's a vampire. In Ruby's case, it's because she's an orange. And I just thought, especially with the family aspects in both books, that they were really similar. And I thought that was kind of cool because these are both original books, but it's kind of cool to see the ties between the two of them. Okay, so now my predictions for book 2. Since the second book is called The Eternity Cure, I'm assuming that we're going to have Zeke working on the cure in Eden, and Allison going to find Cannon, whatever his name is. I just hope we see them interact again, because if they're not in the second book together, it's still going to be interesting, but I don't know if I'll enjoy it as much. I don't know what else is going to happen in the second one then. I'm really interested to see where this series is going to go. This is a great starting book, and there's so many places that the author could go with this. So let me know down below if you've read this book or the second book in the series, because I'm very excited to read The Eternity Cure. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you again soon.